To the United Stand, a quick update as Jadon Sancho is confirmed done deal to Borussia Dortmund this January transfer window. Erik ten Hag removes a big problem and Sancho gets a pathway back to playing football. So who loses, who wins in this deal? Well, I think everybody wins, but everybody loses, because it's a really sad state of affairs that I had to remind myself about this. We chased Jadon Sancho for 2 summers. We had the summer where we didn't get him, and then we had the summer where we did get him. We spent £75 million on him. Apparently we gave him 300k a week. And you look back at the Jadon Sancho 2.5 years at Manchester United, we've had 3 months this year where he's just not been playing. We had 3 months last year where he wasn't playing, and then we had the debut season under Ten Hag, where under Ollie, where Ollie didn't really pick him when he first bought him. It's been weird, and you can sympathise with Sancho to a certain extent. There is definitely a victim mentality there, where he would look at it and go, "Look, I was bought in by Solskjaer. He didn't even start me at the start, so my first season was very up and down. Solskjaer was sacked by Christmas. Rangnick came in, so a very disruptive first season. Ten Hag came in, brought in Anthony. I already know I'm not the winger that he wants. Then I have these issues where I was away for 3 months, which you've got to back Ten Hag and the club for giving Sancho that 3 months away. And then this season has a good pre-season tour, and it all falls apart. It's not been good, and I think when you look at it from that point of view, it's best for Sancho to get away. It's not been a good, we spoke about Donny last week. It's not been a good time for Sancho at Manchester United. And maybe the move was too big for him. Man United definitely do need to look at the sort of player that they're buying in the future. We're all human, and some of us are capable of things and some of us aren't. And it's not necessarily a negative to say that Manchester United doesn't suit Jadon Sancho. It didn't suit Donny van der Beek. It didn't suit Wilfried Zaha. There may well be factors why, but ultimately it's football and there are other options there. And I think the biggest overriding disappointment is the fact that this situation ever happened, and it should never be happening again at Manchester United. You can't have a situation where a manager is asked about a player in a post-match press conference and says that the player wasn't picked because he didn't work as hard as some other players in training that week, and then within minutes that player is putting a tweet out undermining the fans, the manager and the coaches. It's just not the way to run a football club. And Erik ten Hag, going back to that moment, has got every right to say that Pellistri or whoever it was had a better week in training and that's why they're in the squad. Sancho never should have reacted like that, and it just shows a lack of professionalism. It shows the way that the football club is run. There is no fear there. You as a Roy Keane or a Paul Scholes would never in a million years hear Sir Alex Ferguson say you're not in the squad because others have worked harder than you, and think, right, I'm going to ring a journalist up and do an interview. And that's basically what happened, and that can't happen again. But it has happened, and I think the last 3 months have been really embarrassing. How Man United have paid money for a player of that quality and that quantity in relation to the wages, and then not had him playing, especially when we've had an injury crisis. I mean, nobody can say to me that an informed Jadon Sancho doesn't improve Man United over the last few months. I don't think he stops us being overrun in the midfield. I don't think he stops Onana making mistakes in Europe. But in a team that's not scoring goals, he might have added 2 or 3 or created 2 or 3. So, and that's not for me. That's not me saying Ten Hag should have picked him. That's me saying what an embarrassingly childish, immature situation has developed at a big football club, whereby a player has been fit when others haven't and hasn't been playing. And ultimately, I think Sancho's got to take responsibility for that. He's paid big money to play for this football club and play for the fans. And a stubborn argument with the manager is not good enough. It's not an excuse. Like, we needed Sancho over the last few months and he wasn't there. And that, I think, damages any future he's got at the football club, because fans don't forget. I hope he can go to Dortmund, rediscover his love for football and rediscover a talent that I believe I was very excited about when we were linked to him. I don't really think about a future for Jadon Sancho at Manchester United. I look at this situation and I go, let's hope there is a future somewhere else where he can enjoy his football and still have time to have a good career. Because there is change coming at England in the summer. Apparently Southgate's going. There could be change coming at Manchester United in the summer. It's not believable to say that there's not a pathway back to both. But at the moment, he's burnt his bridges with England. I don't really know what that's all about. And he's burnt his bridges at Manchester United. I think we know what that's all about. So you've got a talent. You've got a talent we all wish we had. Go and deliver that talent. Go and rebuild your career. And don't take bitterness with you. Be better in 2024. Don't be bitter in 2024. And that's my concern about Sancho. This is not an argument you're going to win. Some people will dislike Ten Hag, so they'll side with Sancho, which I find incredible, because ultimately you should look at Man United, and the way that he's dealt with this didn't help Man United. Some people will be against Sancho, but I don't really think it matters. I think this is what needed to happen. I applaud it from all sides, and everybody needs to move on. The worst thing that can happen is when you part ways is for one party to hold on to bitterness and still live in the past. It's gone. You're at Dortmund. You're not at Manchester United. You're not proving people wrong. You don't need to do an interview about Ten Hag. You don't need to, drag up the past. And neither does Erik Ten Hag. Move on. Because my feeling is it's embarrassing for everybody involved, and we need to move on. What the future could be, this is the big thing. Get your comments in below. What are your thoughts on this? How do you feel about the Sancho situation now it's been resolved to a certain extent or kicked to the summer? Do you have any regrets? Do you think it could have been dealt with differently? Do you think United have handled it well? Do you think Sancho's handled it well? And what would you like to see happen in the future? Because my ideal situation is that he goes to Dortmund, he does well, maybe there is a buyback clause there, and if it's 25 million or whatever, you just get rid. You get rid. What I don't want to see in the summer is him have a really average time, like we've seen with Martial at Sevilla, like we saw with Donny at Everton, and they end up back. This is something that we've made a mistake. We talk about wages, we talk about new contracts, we talk about not being able to sell players, but we also have a history of loaning players. The loan doesn't go well and they end up coming back again. I don't want to see Sancho having an average injury time at Dortmund and then coming back in the summer and no one wants him. I want him to do well at Dortmund, and I want him to get a move away in the summer. And that, I think, is for everybody, because the alternative is that he does well, he comes back and is given another chance. But from reading between the lines and from what a lot is out there was an accumulation that goes back to the days of Matic, of Sancho being late for training. It's been going on ever since he's been at the football club. Why would you risk that happening again? We as a football club are the club that is the definition of insanity, because we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. I think this needs to be the end of Man United and Sancho, and it needs to be the end of Sancho and Manchester United. For both parties, I think they need to move away. But the best way for that to happen is for Sancho to rediscover his happiness and joy at playing football. And I don't wish him any, it's not like Tevez or Di Maria. I don't feel like Sancho is shit on the club. I just think he's disrespected the badge in the sense that he should have just put aside his apology and personal feelings to play for the club that bought him and the fans that want him to play. But I wish him all the best in the future. There's no like, I really want him to fail or anything like that. I just think I'm glad United have got this done in the first week of January. It shows that they've been doing things before the January transfer window, which isn't usual. And I hope that he does well, because it's there's no similarity with Greenwood, but it looks like with Greenwood there's options in the summer. And what you want are options in the summer with Sancho. And one of those options is him coming back. I'm not comfortable with that, but one of those options is him coming back. But for there to be an option of him coming back because he's playing well, you don't get the rain without the rainbow, is what I'm saying. Or you don't get the rainbow without the rain. There will be no offers for Sancho if he doesn't do well at Dortmund. So for him to do well at Dortmund, there has to be the option that he stays at United. But we need options for him to go elsewhere as well. Get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. What do you think about Sancho? Deal done to Dortmund. Loan to the end of the season. Potential option to buy back. Not a lot of money coming Man United's way. We will pay some of the wages as well. But at least we're doing something. Get your comments in below. I'll speak to you soon.